Welcome to Lento English. Ready to level up your English? Here we learn through stories, slow, clear, and fun. Listen, relax, and enjoy the journey.
One introduction. Today, the world is connected in many complex ways. This connection is like a large, detailed network. One island holds a very important place in this global network. This island is Taiwan. Taiwan makes many important products that the whole world uses every day. Because of this, Taiwan has a central role in the global economy and in international trade. If there was a fight or an invasion of Taiwan, it would not only be a problem far away from many places. It would start big problems all over the world very quickly. It would be an immediate cause for major global changes. Think about the world's economy. Many essential products are made in Taiwan. If factories stop working because of a conflict, the supply of these products would stop immediately. This would cause major problems for industries and consumers in many countries. Money systems could break or become very unstable. Businesses everywhere would suffer greatly, leading to job losses and economic hardship. This would cause a worldwide economic crisis, unlike anything seen in recent times. The effects would be felt by billions of people in every corner of the world. Also, if there is a fight over Taiwan, the world's politics would change a lot. The relationships between countries would become very difficult and tense. Nations might feel forced to choose sides in the conflict, creating new alliances and new divisions. This would create a new, more dangerous situation for international relations globally. The balance of power between the world's big countries would shift significantly. This could make the world a more unstable and dangerous place for everyone living in it. It would be like a big earthquake that shakes the very foundations of the world's current order. This situation is very serious and has global importance. People are not asking if the world would feel the effects of a conflict in Taiwan. This is very likely and almost certain. The real question is how bad the effects would be. How much would the world change because of this conflict? How long would these big problems and changes last? This book will look at this important question. We will explore what could happen if there is a conflict. We will see how a conflict over this island could affect many parts of the world. We will try to understand the possible results for different countries and for the global system as a whole. This is a complex issue with many possible outcomes. We will look at different ideas and possibilities to understand the potential dangers and challenges connected to this situation. The future of the world's stability is connected to this island in a very significant way. Understanding this connection is important for understanding the world today and its potential future. 2. Past lessons. In the summer of 1995, things were tense. China took a step that made the world watch. They sent many soldiers to a part of China called Fujian Province. This area is very close to Taiwan, just across the sea. After sending soldiers, China started testing missiles. They showed pictures of these tests on television. They also did large military training exercises. These exercises looked very much like they were practicing to cross the sea and land on the island of Taiwan. China believes that Taiwan is not a separate country but is part of China. Why did China do this show of military strength? There were two main reasons. First, the leader of Taiwan wanted to visit the United States. The U.S. government said yes and gave him permission to come. China did not like this because it seemed like the U.S. was treating Taiwan as a country. Second, Taiwan was going to have its first time where people could vote for their leader in a democratic election. This was also something China did not want to see happen on the island. China was showing its anger and trying to scare Taiwan with these actions. But then, the United States military arrived. President Bill Clinton was the leader of the U.S. at that time. He decided to send a very strong military force to the area. It was the biggest show of U.S. military power in Asia in many years. The U.S. sent its best ships, like aircraft carriers and other powerful warships, into the sea near Taiwan. This was a direct answer to China's actions. The message from the United States was very clear. It told China, "We are much more powerful than you. You should stop trying to scare Taiwan." And what happened? It seemed to work. China stopped its strong military actions. They backed down. The United States showed that it was still a very powerful country in the world, a country that others should respect. 3. New signs of pressure. Now let's look at recent times. Many years have passed since the 1990s. China is showing its military strength near Taiwan again. A common way they do this lately is by flying military planes into an area near Taiwan. This area is called the Air Defense Identification Zone. When planes enter this zone, they should tell who they are. But China's military planes fly there without asking or telling who they are. This does not happen just 1 or 2 times. It happens many times each day, hundreds of times each month. There is information that shows all these flights. This information helps people see China's actions. It shows a very big increase in flights, especially in the later part of 2021. For example, in the first week of October that year, there was a peak, meaning the most flights happened then. This sent a clear message from China to Taiwan. It was like saying, "You are part of China," or "Remember who is in charge here." So what happened next? Like in the past, other countries came to the area. The United States sent ships like guided missile destroyers. A ship from Canada also came. They sailed through the Taiwan Strait, the water between China and Taiwan. This was like the U.S. response in the 1990s, but this time it was different. The ships came, but it did not stop China. After the U.S. and Canadian ships sailed through, China did not stop the flights. In fact, they did many more flyovers of Taiwan's Air Defense Identification Zone. The information shows the flights started happening almost every day after the ships came. This shows that the situation is not like the 1990s anymore. Sending ships did not make China stop this time. Things have changed, and the U.S. action did not have the same effect as before. This shows a new situation in the area. 4. Why things have changed. Things are different now compared to the past. In the last 20 years, China has become much stronger. Its military is bigger and it has more modern weapons. One big change is China's navy. A report says China's navy has more ships than the United States Navy. China has 360 ships, while the U.S. has 297. Even though the U.S. ships are often bigger, China's number of ships is a big increase. China also wants to reunite with Taiwan more and more each year. They see Taiwan as part of China that separated during a civil war many years ago. Taking over Taiwan is a very important goal for China. There is also a Chinese law called the Anti-Secession Law. This law is important. It says that if the chance for peaceful reunification with Taiwan is completely gone, then China must use non-peaceful ways, meaning force. For about 70 years, peaceful ways have been tried, but they have not worked. Also, people in Taiwan do not want to reunite with China. Support for reunification in Taiwan is now very low. This makes the peaceful way look less likely. Because of these reasons, China's stronger military, its strong desire for reunification, the anti-secession law, and low support in Taiwan for reunification, the situation has changed a lot since the 1990s. China is more ready and determined now, and the old ways of stopping them do not work as well. 5. The first attack. Sometimes China sends military planes close to Taiwan. This is called flying into Taiwan's air defense zone. It happens often, but one time it could be different. A plane that looks like a normal flight might suddenly turn towards the island. At the same moment, many other planes and guided missiles would come from the mainland. This would be a very fast attack. China would target important places in Taiwan. They would want to stop Taiwan from fighting back. Targets could be military airports, army bases, and places where they keep planes and missiles. They might also attack communication towers, bridges, and power stations. Many of these places are easy to see and hit. Taiwan's leaders would quickly go to safe places deep underground. These places are like bunkers. They would try to plan what to do next. Not all of Taiwan's military equipment would be destroyed. Some planes and missiles are hidden well, maybe in mountains. These things could still be used. Taiwan would likely fight back right away. They might use their remaining planes and missiles to attack military places on the mainland. At the same time, Taiwan would send soldiers to the beaches on the west side of the island. These soldiers would put mines in the sand and get ready. They would prepare for many Chinese soldiers coming across the water. All of this would happen in just a few hours. For the United States, it would be hard to know exactly what is happening. China would probably try to block communication signals. They might use technology to stop spy satellites from seeing clearly. This makes it slow for the U.S. to understand the situation and decide how to help. 6. The fight for the island. After the first attacks, the main fight for the island starts. China begins to send a very large number of soldiers and needed things across the water. They use many types of boats, both military ships and other boats that usually carry goods. A very large number of soldiers, maybe hundreds of thousands, travel across the strait. The water is about 130 kilometers wide there. Each boat carries many soldiers and supplies for the fight. This is a huge effort to move so many people and things quickly. On the west side of the island, where the water meets the land, Taiwan's soldiers are waiting. They have prepared the beaches, perhaps putting mines there to slow the enemy. They are ready to stop the coming forces. When the Chinese soldiers try to land from their boats onto the sand, a very strong and difficult battle begins right on the beaches. The Chinese amphibious forces are trying hard to get a place to stand and move forward onto the island. Taiwan's soldiers fight bravely to push them back and stop them from landing on their land. While this intense battle is happening on the beaches, the United States and countries that are its friends start to act. They send their military forces from bases they have in the region, like those in Japan and Guam. They send very big ships called aircraft carriers, which have many planes ready to fly. They also send fast planes that are hard for radar to see, known as stealth fighters. Ships that go under the water, submarines, also come to help. These submarines have an important job. They try to find and stop the many Chinese boats that are crossing the water, bringing more soldiers and supplies to the island. Countries like Japan and Australia might also join the fight to help Taiwan. Their help would add more power to the defense against the invasion. At this point, the United States and its allies are in direct combat with China. This is a very serious moment in the conflict. Two powerful nations are fighting each other directly. This direct fight between major powers shows how dangerous the situation is. It can easily become bigger and more difficult to control, with very serious results for many people and countries around the world. The fight for the island is now a fight between big global powers. 7. War spreads wide. The fight for the island of Taiwan is intense, but the war might not stay just there. It could spread quickly. Some ideas suggest that China might attack U.S. military bases at the same time they attack Taiwan. These bases are in places like Japan and Guam. Striking these bases would make the war much bigger right away. It would pull the United States fully into the fighting. On Taiwan, Chinese soldiers who landed on the beaches are now moving inland. They are trying to take control of cities and areas away from the coast. As the fight continues on the island, the conflict could start to involve more countries in the region. Military writings from China talk about what might happen in a big war like this. They think that during the chaos, other countries might see a chance to act. For example, they talk about India. They predict India might try to take land along the borders in the mountains. These mountains are called the Himalayas. This could start a new fight far away from Taiwan. The writings also mention people in Tibet. Tibet is a region far to the west of China. Some people there want to be free from Chinese rule. The writings suggest that these freedom fighters might rise up during the war. They could try to take back control of their area while China is busy fighting in other places. This shows how a war starting in one place can quickly become a problem for many countries. It can make a whole region unstable. A conflict like this could involve many different nations fighting. It could lead to a very large number of people losing their lives. Once a war like this begins, it is very hard to stop it from spreading wide. 8. Looking ahead. The story we have looked at describes one possible future. A big invasion of Taiwan is one idea, but maybe it is not the only one. It might not even be the most likely thing to happen. There are other ways that China could try to get Taiwan to agree. For example, they could stop ships from going to Taiwan. This is called a blockade. They could also use other difficult actions to put pressure on Taiwan. These kinds of things might be more likely than a full military invasion with many soldiers crossing the sea. What is scary about a war like this is that once it starts, it is very, very hard to stop. It is like a big fire that starts small but then quickly gets out of control. When fighting begins, nobody is fully in charge anymore. Things happen fast and people make mistakes. One small mistake can make the fight much bigger and more dangerous. It is easy for the fighting to just keep getting worse and pull more countries into the problem. The speed of conflict can quickly lead to a very bad situation that nobody wanted at the start. Today, many people have not seen a big war between powerful countries. We live in a time that feels mostly peaceful for a lot of people. This is different from many times in history. History often shows that powerful countries and their leaders fight to get more land or power. A strong leader might feel that he should have land that belongs to another country. Then, he might use his large army to try and take it by force. This has happened many times before and has started terrible events that cost many lives. We can hope very much that people today do not need to fight like this anymore to solve their problems. We can hope that we have learned from the past and are different now. But we are not totally sure if this is true yet. Maybe we can talk and find new, smart ways to fix difficult problems. We can try hard to find creative solutions without fighting. This is better than doing what humans have always done, which is just fight each other to see who is stronger and who wins. The situation with China and Taiwan is a test for the world. Can we find a better way this time?